In 2013, I was serving on Calgary Planning Commission, and I remember we actually had a Planning Commission meeting that day. And during that meeting, we had 3 members of Planning Commission having to leave because they were under evacuation orders. So it was very real.
I had received actually a couple of phone calls from former colleagues saying, I think we're going to flood again. And subsequent to that, the 2013 flood resulted in our family and others going to help a former colleague who lived in Bowness at the time, and their house was devastated.
The morning of the 2013 floods, I was standing in fire headquarters and getting all of these notifications that things were happening upstream and it was going to be a big deal for the city of Calgary.
I grew up in Calgary. I know this river very well. I always say it's the bloodstream of every Calgarian. And I had never seen it so high, so loud, so angry. The power had been cut off, so the only thing you could hear was that river. And that was the moment for the first time where I was actually scared. I was thinking, what is going to happen? How can we handle this? How can we keep people safe? I had never been in the EOC. It had just opened. So the first time I saw the Emergency Operations Center was at midnight as both rivers were hitting their record crests.
So this is your vision, sir.
This is it.
This is it. So this is the Emergency Operations Center. So we have the smoke map up, we have the fire map.
You know, when you start looking at disasters, you've got to think through not only Mother Nature, but there could be all types of scenarios that occur. And thus, that's really started to highlight the response that we needed as a city. And thankfully that City Council supported it, the province of Alberta in terms of their municipal infrastructure funding helped assist with that. And today we have a spectacular facility that was, well, probably should have been built 20 years earlier.
We had always planned for this to be a center that we could start to grow and look to future years and have enough space to be able to do everything that we need to do for the city of Calgary. It was very, very lucky for us that the center was open when it was ahead of the floods. We did get to test this brand new Emergency Operations Center that's state of the art and make sure that it is working and make some adjustments afterwards to be able to continue to have it as a great facility today.
To watch things unfold and just, to remember the strength of that team, the response from that team being so consistent and so compassionate, it made me think, wow, we are incredibly fortunate that this center is open at a time when people need it the most.
We did a call for volunteers. We did a call out to McMahon Stadium and thought we would get a couple of hundred folks that would come out and help their fellow neighbors. We got thousands. We were very unprepared for what actually showed up at McMahon Stadium to assist. But that is Calgary. Calgarians want to help. Calgarians need to help their neighbors, and they don't even need to know them.
And at that moment, I was overwhelmed by the power of human beings and how we can come together to help and how public servants lead the way. But when we know what we're doing, when we can be grateful that we live in a place where government works and the EOC is in place, then we can also experience the best of humanity.
I think back to the flood happening just before the Stampede, and it was come hell or high water. The Stampede was going to happen, and it was a symbol of recovery and a symbol of what Calgarians can do when we all put our mind toward the same goal.
And we wouldn't have been able to do that if my predecessors hadn't set up the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, if we didn't have such strong leadership in that agency.
And I commend everyone who was responsible for that decision to invest in an Emergency Operations Center. It was a council well before the ones I've served on, but it was a smart decision, and it's one that's been benefiting Calgarians ever since. It is going to be a difficult month of June because people will remember what happened 10 years ago. At the same time, we have come so far. We have put so many measures in place to ensure that the impacts are reduced, and we've got such incredible experts at the Emergency Operations Center that I know we're all going to be in good hands.